All right, everybody. Thanks again for coming back and spend a little bit of time with us. We're already in October, looking for Thanksgiving. Oh, this is not Thanksgiving, is it? It's Halloween.
No.
Yeah. Well, I saw your face and it made me think of turkey. I
Made
don't
you
know
think
why,
of
Jim.
turkey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little weird. But welcome back to the MRC Town Hall. I'm your host, Ray Whitaker, the COO of Mission Roll Call. And then, as always, we have the esteemed Mr. Jim Whaley, the CEO of the organization. Good day, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Ray. How are you doing?
It's another day. I'm looking forward to talking about all the things that we have been doing for the last 30 days. That's for sure.
So much going on.
Yes, absolutely. All right, quick notes. You guys know, as we're waiting for folks to come in and get in here and kind of get settled in, we want to talk just real quick. We've got a poll that we put up on all the platforms. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Meta, whatever, all the places you're probably watching this. You should have a pinned post that's going to ask you to answer a poll. Okay, we'd ask you to answer this poll if you don't mind. And the poll is going to ask, are you a veteran or military family being impacted by the government shutdown? Jim, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that because you've been on the news quite a bit about this subject.
Yeah, it's an important subject, right? When you think about how many military family members, spouses, dependents are affected by this shutdown. As we know, there's been a temporary pay put into place for active duty military and then for the Coast Guard through Homeland Security, but still the effect is wide ranging with the shutdown of a number of key programs within the VA that are helping veterans, homeless, suicide prevention and such. So we've been engaging the media on your behalf through the polls. We use that information to talk. Just this week, I talked to CNN, Reuters, and then this morning talked to Federal Radio, which covers a lot of the federal employees across our nation. So we're getting the word out about the impacts and talking about what secondary and third order effects a shutdown like this has to active duty military, to dependents. And when you think about it, when you're unsure about your next pay or you're not getting paid, it's really hard to pay for groceries. It's really hard to cover your rent. It's really hard to get childcare. Yet we still are expecting those active duty members to come in and do their work. And for veterans on a fixed income, it's even more damaging. So a lot to talk about on that. And we're happy to engage on this on our veterans' behalf and their families. And I think coalescing that voice, Ray, and amplifying that message through the media and through everyone who's listening to platforms like this is just so important, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And sometimes we have to voice our opinions in a loud and thunderous voice so that it's heard, understood, and acted upon.
Absolutely, Jim. Tess, thanks for being here. Hi, I only see a blank screen. Is your video going? It should be, Tess. We'll actually check. Try refreshing just to see. You never know. It's the interwebs. We always have some problems. Okay, so the rest of the administrative stuff, remember this goes on monthly. Our next one will be November 19th. We're going to have a pretty big announcement on that day. So that's 12 Central, 1 Eastern Standard Time for those that are here. If you have questions, like you want to talk, you have anything you want to bring to us, like you're going to see our staff is all over the social media accounts. If I keep looking over here, because I'm looking at y'all's comments, but please comment. Like, we serve you. As Jim asked us to do, and the board and you, and that's what we're here to do. So please ask questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them. John, good to see you again as always, buddy. Okay, and as a selfish plug, listen, we can't do what we do without you visiting missionrollcall.org and becoming a member, right? And when I say becoming a member, it's free. There's no cost associated with it, but it allows us to get your voice. And it doesn't matter if you're like, you don't have to be a veteran, right? Because we need the opinions of veterans, their families, and the American public. All of your experiences and everything that you've done and seen is important as we hand these off to the various levels of decision makers that are at the county, city level, state level, all the way up to the government level, where we're handing surveys and stuff like that.
That's right.
So please do that. Jim, all right, so let's talk. Jim, last time we talked, you and Valerie were at the MIC, or the Military Influencer Conference. So let's talk about, like, how did that go? What was kind of the final standing of that event?
Yeah, so a great event. I think anytime you bring folks that are supporting military through various VSOs from different perspectives, right? We had everybody there from providing financial type literacy and planning, the USAAs of the world. We had organizations that are helping veterans and their families get guide dogs, every walk of life. And then, of course, what we do from an advocacy standpoint and spreading the word of what veterans are telling us. It was a good mix of people and more importantly, sharing of ideas, looking at best practices, connecting with each other. There's 40,000 plus veteran support organizations across our country. And many of them struggle to reach out to other organizations because of their geography and their size. And this was an opportunity to do that. I met some great folks, learned a lot. I think it gives us an opportunity to look of where we can work together. I think most organizations have a tendency to focus on what they're doing and what we're trying to do. And I think we've been very successful in, based on what I heard at the Military Influencers Conference, is that people want to become part of our resource directory. They want to meet and help more veterans. And they're kind of astonished when we say, yeah, we'll promote you. We'll talk about you. We'll put you on a resource directory. And then they say, well, how much is that going to cost? And we say, nothing. We want to help other organizations, right? High tide raises all the ships is our thought process here. And if we can connect a veteran who's going through a tough time with a local VSO, and that makes a difference in that person's life, and it only happens one time, that's a success in my mind of the resource director. Even though we're putting a lot of time and effort into it, the team is. I think it resonates with a lot of folks. We're the only organization that's doing that, and that stood out as well. So I was really excited about meeting new folks and seeing some old friends from years ago and making new ones.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, it sounded like it's a good event, which is really what we want. Tori, we absolutely, everybody, including military surviving spouses, and we appreciate you as well. Anush, I see has a shutdown stopped the work. No, I mean, the good news for us, we are a veteran service organization, so we're not impacted by government. We don't accept currently any government grants or anything else. We're very focused, and it's how we stay really unbiased in this entire process. So it's one of the things that Jim and the rest of the team has agreed upon. So hopefully, but good to have all of you here. John, good to see you, buddy. We'll answer your question here in a minute, John. I see you got some questions here about homeless department and some news. We got some updates that we're going to kind of bring. Yeah. All right, let's talk about this month's survey. Just for everybody that's here, there's two things that you're going to see because we're getting more people that are here. The first thing I want to bring up is in the comments of where you currently are, Meta, LinkedIn, wherever, there should be a posted comment with the poll. We'd ask you guys to take that real quick. It's literally a click of a button to tell us, okay, that's going to help Jim and Mike, our amazing team that are out here doing a lot of work for you guys to make sure they have the data and they can share that. Additionally, this month's survey is up. Okay. It's on transition and VA enrollment. It's going to last through the rest of October. The team will put that up. I see that they've already got it there, which is awesome. They're already all over it. So while you're listening to us, you hear the soothing sound of my voice, not so much Jim's. His is a little bit raspy. Mine's really good. Take less than 3 minutes to go over, click that link. And and usually I fall asleep when I hear Jim talk. Just don't let him know. But let's pretend like he's not here. But go over and take that survey real quick. It absolutely helps us. And it makes sure that we're basically delivering your voice versus us speaking on your behalf. Jim, I want to talk about last month's survey. So last month we did a little bit of preventive wellness. Unfortunately, Mike did a great job of putting a lot of data together. And I know you saw it this morning with all the graphs and stuff. We didn't get an opportunity to get that up as fast as we were hoping.
Right.
But there's some really good information in there. We had about 2,200 responses in total. I think the big thing here was really kind of focused on, there was kind of a large percentage on missing the sense of camaraderie. Once they left and they went into veteran space, we had a pretty large percentage that believe that there should be some sort of structured opportunity for connectivity through the transition process so that there's not kind of like, hey, you're leaving and you're done. Hey, let's help them through the transition process, know the groups that they can connect. And then the last thing is there's a pretty large percentage that would like preventive wellness programs to be endorsed by the VA. So I wanted to just kind of get your thoughts on that and then just surveys in general, how it helps.
Yeah, a lot to unravel and unpack on that, right? First of all, from the bottom up a little bit, why are these polls important? We've talked about this a couple of times, but underscored because it is so vital for our organization. I can't explain well enough the impact these polls have with elected officials. When our guy in DC, Mike Desmond, goes in and talks to the VA or talks to anyone associated with the House Veterans Affairs Committee or the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, these are the folks that are taking the bills that affect all of us as veterans. They are looking to us on what our veterans saying. It's interesting. Unlike any other organization, they may say, hey, what does your organization think about this? When they ask us that question, they say, what do veterans say about this? Because they know that we are giving them the raw data, what the polls are telling us, and providing it to them so they can make good decisions and they can find out what veterans really want. So moving up the ladder here a little bit, access to healthcare, of course, has been paramount. And one of the things we've learned recently is that preventative healthcare, especially on mental wellness, is so key. And we're finding out that if you think about how many billions of dollars, and I don't have that number in front of me, but it is pretty large, the billions of dollars has been spent on suicide prevention, and all of it is goodwill, and we all want to stop that. It has not been as effective as anybody wants because the numbers have really not gone down. And even the VA secretary acknowledges that, and that's one of his priorities. We're finding that if you do things left of clinical, then that means before you've been identified as having some problems early on, preventatively, it makes a whole lot of difference. And so we know that veterans want to see that. Veterans want to participate in that. Veterans also want to have what we've coined in our organization is service to service. Serving your country. We've all done it proudly. And to some degree, we've underestimated that impact on what it does for us until it's gone. And that's true with most things in life, right? You don't recognize it until it's gone, how important it was to you. Yeah. And that service is very important. And so if we can connect transitioning veterans, 200,000 a year, 16,000 a month, transitioning from the military, and connect them to an organization that's going to provide that continuity of service, that will go a long way in helping the transition, both mind and body. And Absolutely. So that's just some of the things we're working on. And that's why these polls are important, right? Because it validates what we hear from veterans, but when we have it in the aggregate, when we have the big numbers and it's across the country, then it's very powerful, and it can shape funding, and it can shape the course of how veterans are being treated. And to me, that's what's exciting about this job, and what's exciting about waking up and doing this job and working with veterans, because I know we're making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you hit on so many important pieces there, and I think for the group, for the veterans, for the families, for the American public, the thing that we've learned, and I know Mike is on the front lines of this with you, is this understanding that, veterans hold the key to the future of not only now, but for generations to come. Right. And we talk about that a lot. The only way, imagine World War II, if they had not done what they did for the GI Bill, we wouldn't have the GI Bill now. Right. Exactly. And this is veterans standing up for veterans to make sure that those that come behind them are getting win. And that's basically what we're asking for now. The payoff of that is what you just talked about. It's this idea that I now can go in and say, hey, this isn't Mission Roll Call. This isn't Jim Whaley. It's not Ray Whitaker. It's not Mike Desmond. It's none of our team, right? This is veterans or their families or the American public's perception. Here's what you have. You don't need to search Google. We got you, right? Like this is the thing. So the variation.
And that's even more pronounced. I'm sorry to interrupt, but even more pronounced of a stat the good team gave me. Yeah. Which I was not aware of. I knew the number was high, but I didn't realize it was as high as what it is. And that is that 80% of new recruits in all the services have a connection with a veteran. Either it's their mom or dad, their brother or sister, their uncle, somebody. So to your point, that continuity of care, that continuity of programs that are going to help position the next generation of soldiers, airmen, and Marines and coasties to get back into society in a positive manner, that's our job. The ones that are in the service right now, that's our job to make sure that happens. And that's why these polls are important.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike just replied, the VA's 2025 budget for suicide prevention was almost $600 million. That does not include additional funds for programs such as the Fox grant, which we know well. I know the team, we're consistently looking at that. I just want to call out Mary, Nathaniel, J-Dub, the rest of you guys and gals that have joined. John, good to see you guys here. Thanks for coming and joining us today. As always, Jim, we would like to say that we operate on Rippets, right? Monsters and coffee, but unfortunately every once in a while, we got to operate on a little bit of fun. So we're going to do a quick, another selfless plug. We did something unique this year. We talked as a team. We talked about doing a 2025 limited edition t-shirt. We've done a lot of really cool things. The team has, right? I think from our perspective, we've touched so many veterans this year where we've heard their stories and there's so many pieces going. Well, we took 150 of those veterans. We asked them if they would allow us to use their name to create a design for a t-shirt. And we actually created that design. It's a design of an eagle. So if the team can go ahead and throw that image up so that those that are watching can look at this. We've got the ability to have the 2025 limited edition mission roll call shirt. You can do a t-shirt. We can do a hoodie. We can also do a sweatshirt. The big part for anybody that actually gets the t-shirt, just know it helps us fuel the mission and what we do. And we felt like this was a really good way for us to have that and to also to use it. So we appreciate you guys being here as always. And hopefully you guys enjoy the shirt. I don't know if we have an image. You guys can put that image up if you get time as we're rolling through the rest of the stuff. All right, Jim, we're going to move on to the access to VA healthcare research. We started with the homelessness research, right? And so everybody understands, we'll kind of level this a little bit. Jim, I, and Mike Desmond are consistently getting different numbers, and we start asking questions about numbers, and then one organization gives you this, one organization gives you that, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, what number's right? So this started this idea that we've got surveys. We need to add research on this. We need to make sure that when we're speaking, we're getting the data. We need to connect with veterans that are homeless. We need to connect with community organizations. We need to connect with counties and cities and states. And what's the VA? So the bottom line, we're taking all that data, pulling it in to understand. The eye opener for us is we learned homelessness. We had this number 37,325, but we learned very quickly, we only know the floor, which is 33,000. That's all we know. We don't know where the ceiling is, because there's a lot of rules and legalities that are associated on that, like how you count a veteran, point in time, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that, though. Made kind of a conversation we had. We're going to start doing this for all of our priorities, and access to care, which all of you, the veterans and our supporters, said, hey, this is one of the priorities we want for veterans. We went out and we looked through your questions and comments. We focused on that this time. There's a lot of data here that we're going to release right about 1 November associated with access to care. Some of the comments that we had received were, my appointments are taking forever, right? My specialty care appointments are taking forever. The facilities that I'm going to are canceling my stuff all the time. So as we're getting this feedback, we're getting it, and you guys can send us emails. It's through social, wherever it's out. We start to pull it in. We went out, we started to look at it. What we learned, though, from a bottom line, just a realistic expectation here, so everybody knows, research shows that the VA does provide quality healthcare. It does. But we also learned many veterans still struggle to access it. And we talk about this a lot with the underserved and those in areas that don't have access to VA care, right? Definitely some other things that need to be fixed and looked at, I would say, and we're going to show that in our thing. But Jim, I wanted to kick it over to you. Is there anything that stood out to you? And Nate, if you guys can pull up the page, please, for the access to care, we'll give them a snapshot here for the folks that are actually in the chat to kind of look at it.
That'd be helpful. A couple things I did. Yeah. First of all, thanks, Ray, for setting that up. Some key things here. And this first chart to me speaks volumes. As you can see, it's gone up, the trust in the VA outpatient care. So when you do get care, it's quality care, and it outperforms in many cases civilian care. And in some significant areas, such as stroke and heart attack and some other areas. However, there are some cities and some places where that number is a little bit lower, or the wait times are significantly higher. Atlanta comes to mind, Philadelphia, a couple other ones, and you read it in this report. So when you do get health care from the VA, it's overwhelmingly positive by the majority of, I mean, that number is a spectacular number, nearly 92%. Most hospitals in our country don't come close to that. So that number is phenomenal, but the challenge with that is that the time that veterans are waiting to get secondary appointments or specialty care is way too long in most cases, and it's far exceeding the time frame that our civilian counterparts are getting. So that's one thing that the VA is looking at and needs to do a better job. And this kind of information, polling information and in-depth study is helpful to them because it's an outside organization that's giving this a check and providing it to them. And we're going to be happy to provide it and work at the highest levels. The other area we found out about in this process, and if I'm getting ahead of myself, Ray, stop me because I'll go through a couple of the other.
Hey, you're allowed. You know what? You can run as far ahead as possible, Jim. And all we're going to do is follow you. So keep going. Yep, keep going.
It's the lack of the continuity of care is an area of big concern, right? So you're hopping from doctor to doctor, it gets dropped. You're at the VA, and then you're back into the civilian because they've outsourced it, and then you're back with another doctor at the VA. Well, we all know that doesn't work. You need somebody who's going to be able to see you over a period of time and see the differences and understand your mannerisms and help you through that process. So that's another area, and we can understand that to a degree. It's the largest healthcare system in the world, so that is a major area that they're looking at. The other thing is the ability to get into geographic areas where a lot of rural folks live, in areas that veterans just have to drive too far, and the time either waiting on to see the doctors too long or the distance is too long. So that's where access to healthcare is so important. And that's one of the things that we've talked to all of you about, and we've used that with the VA. And I think the other one is, and I think this is an area that we actually in this organization and on this audience can affect to some degree. All of them we can't affect through polling and through letting our voices be heard, but this one we can directly affect, and that is the low enrollment. Yeah. There's 18 million veterans, like I mentioned earlier, plus or minus. Only half are associated with the VA. So we need to get more of our veterans enrolled into the VA, meet with VA folks, go through the process, and find out what health care they're entitled to. We think that's very important because it helps the system. And quite frankly, it helps our brothers and sisters to get the health care from an organization that once they're in it, they're going to really like it. Yeah. Because the confidence levels looked on that number is 92%, 91.8 to be specific. So I think we can help by reaching out to fellow veterans. We can do that by sharing it with people that we know in our networks. And I hope that you can share with them what we're doing with MRC so they can take the polls. It's a virtuous circle here that one helps the other. And so we think that's really important. And these studies are helpful because I can tell you that the senior levels at the VA and senior levels in Congress and Senate are looking at this product that we've been providing in a number of key areas that affect veterans and using it and helping them become more educated on these topics because they're handling a number of topics, right? Right. And so we want to help them think through this.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jim. Nate, can you do me a favor before you pull up the t-shirt? Can you please pull up the article again? And I want you to scroll down to the number of days for a new mental health appointment at the VA hospital.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. That's important.
So what we want to explain to everybody, because it's hard to, I mean, obviously we're talking to you guys, right? We're having a conversation, but it's really hard to show what all it's going to show. But this is an example. I'm going to make it full screen, Nate. I'm not sure, it's going to be hard for them to read anyway. But the idea here for this map is it kind of gives you like an overview of that little black box in there. There's a number. That number is the amount of days. And for this one, it's going to be based off of a new, right? So this is you coming in for the first time going in, and this is based off the state, and it goes all the way down to the county. What we try to do is we took all the data, pulled it all in to look at it, because when we initially did this research, it was like, hey, we want to know where the veterans are, and then them making their initial appointment. But then what we learned is we went into the specialty appointments and we saw a much larger view. So scroll down to the next one, Nate. So just for mental health appointment as an example here, for the mental health here, you can see that some of these are in the 30 days, right? So Florida's 31 days, Louisiana's 34. That's not all facilities. That may be some, that's just the average of all. But when you get into the specialty care, which is then moving to that second on, some of those may be more difficult, like longer wait periods, and some were in the 60 to 100 plus days, and then some were faster, depending on what it is. So when we release this, I think from our side, we're hoping that everybody that goes through it reviews it and understands. And I know from our team, they're going to share it with the right folks to make sure that they have it. And we'll continue to update this over the next.
And think about how important this information is, and think about mental health.
Yeah.
And all of us have had times in our life where things aren't going well. We've lost a loved one. We've any number of things that puts us in a funk, or puts us into a situation where we need to talk to somebody. And it's, of course, a spectrum of those things. But if you're moving to the right of that spectrum, getting from okay to really bad, and you wait, and then it takes 30 plus days or 40 days to get the mental health help that you need, well, that's unacceptable, because in some cases, we're talking hours, we're talking days. That is needed to actually address that issue, not multiple days, not multiple weeks. So I think this is important for us.
Yeah. Tori said the same thing, Jim. Like she's replying exactly. When you have mental health issues, it is compounded if you have to wait 20 or more days to be seen. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Tori. That's a good one. We're going to answer some of your other questions, Tori. I see that you got here too. So don't worry. So thank you for that, Jim. Nate, can you pull up the image real quick to the t-shirt? We want you guys to see the t-shirt. We take a lot of pride in this. We love that. So just click on the t-shirt, Nate. I think it'll blow it up, so it's a little bit easier to see. There you go. And hover over it. So there you go. So that's an eagle with the American flag kind of in the backdrop. And then it's veterans' names that are making that image. Like it is such an amazing looking image. I wish you guys could see it easier. And just know you're obviously supporting Mission Roll Call with a purchase, but we'd appreciate it if you guys would take a gander at that thing. Okay. Yeah,
and you're going to be able to look fitter, run faster, be smarter, as you wear this shirt. Of course, none of those are guaranteed, but
I wear it all the time, and it's why I'm beautiful. Is basically what's happening.
No, the team did a wonderful job, and it's October. You're a couple guys and gals, you got that person that's hard to buy a gift for the holidays. Here you go.
I know. Hey, Angel supporting a good cause.
It's a layup. Just go ahead.
All right. So look, the next part, this is why it's so important for you guys to reach out. Every day we're reading through the info app, which is basically our contact us form, right? You guys submit stuff into us. Sometimes it's the good stuff, right? It's the stuff we want to read. And then sometimes you guys are trolling us, and we don't appreciate those, but like, it is what it is, right? It's the internet. So we take those, but here's the thing. Oftentimes it's veterans, it's family members, it's the public that's reaching out, and they have a voice. We got an opportunity to meet Don Lagoon. I'm not going to, hold on. So I want to show this. We're not here to promote his stuff, but we are, because we absolutely love him. He came into the organization, and his thing is that, he's been going through his own struggles with mental health. And we're not going to get into that. That's for him to explain, not for me. But one of the things, he came in, he was like, look, I want to tell my story as a Navy veteran and what I've gone through, because I want to help other people, and I want to help them through the difficult times that I have and what I've learned. One of the things he kind of gave an example, we all been to the doctor, and then on the doctor, you've got on the wall, I used to always make jokes about this too. I'm not going to do it here, but you have like the smiley face at the top, and then you got like the dude that's angry at the bottom, and the doctor come in, you broke your leg, and the doctor's like, how do you feel? And you're like, bro, my leg's broken. How do you think I feel? Right. But that's the same thought that Don was putting towards this idea that like there was nothing for that in a mental health based or depression progression, as he called it. And we're like, Don, help us make something that is from you that can help others. And we've had the opportunity to work with Don. We have an article up on the website that Britt and our amazing team that does all of our content have put up, and I would ask the team to put the link here. We'd ask you guys to do it. And there's also Don's book. It's what I read once I met him. Jim, I would love for you to kind of jump in here. You had an opportunity to kind of read through this stuff, talk a little bit to Don, about what he's gone through. How important is it to have him?
I think anyone who knows someone who is struggling in any way, on any scale, with the process of being in the service and getting out of the service and the things that you've gone through, reading this book could make a significant difference in their life. I think knowing and seeing that someone else has gone through the same things basically that you have and has navigated that and has gone through ups and downs and gone over barriers and around them to figure out how to get in a better place is so important. And so I would urge everybody to read this article at the very least, and then take a gander at the book as well, because I think it's so important. And he has a compelling story that I think anybody who takes the time to read it will come away bigger, more informed, more empathetic. That old adage, biblical adage, that there by the grace of God go I, comes to mind with this.
Yeah. And I think the thing I really loved about the conversation with Don is I think part of it for him is like this idea that it doesn't, we all have some sort of mental health challenges. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, right? We don't all want to talk about it, but it's just the basic. This isn't unique to veterans, by the way. That this is not just a veteran thing. This is everybody. I think the uniqueness of Don is this idea that this is not only meant for you as an individual that may be going through it, but it's also a way you can read this. What I got out of it is, I've had a couple buddies and friends that I've been able to identify that, oh man, there's something going on. Like, I've seen a change of behavior, right? Like, they're angry. Like, it's just been more angry than they normally have been. Like, why? And I read, Don's, and this is just a happening, man. I read his thing and I'm like, okay, hold on. Like what he's saying right here is exactly what I'm exhibiting over here. And now I have an ability to talk to somebody that, and again, you have to know the person, right? But I know them. I live with them. I deployed with them, whatever the case may be. And I start having these conversations and they're like, I didn't think anybody saw that. And I do need help. Right. And it's like, man, I'm here for you. I mean, and it's just I don't want to ask for help. I never have liked to. I don't like doing it. And I think oftentimes, so I think definitely consider reading it for Don, maybe not about yourself, but maybe about others that you can support. So,
yeah. And I think it's a wonderful point that it's just not for veterans. It's, it's for anybody in your life or a neighbor or anything like that. And you think about it through church or affiliations or organizations you're part of. Chances are, if you're in a room more than 20 people, somebody in there struggling with something. Yeah. And if you have the ability to see those points and see those indicators, you can make a big difference. So, yeah,
absolutely. All right, everybody, just a reminder, look at the top of wherever you're watching this right now. There should be a poll that's pinned. It's just a 1-question poll for you guys. If you guys could do us a favor, just hit that real quick, go to that link, and then take the poll for us. That way we got a little bit of data after today's thing. Jim, next we're going to talk a little bit about digital tools for wellness. I think this is probably, it goes in line with kind of access for care, right? One of the questions that we had from the audience was like, hey, you guys are often talking about veterans that have access to the VA, but like, I don't have access to the VA, right? Like I don't meet the requirements, because I think sometimes that's a misnomer that every veteran has access to the VA, and that's not completely true, right? Well, all things associated with it. So one of the things that we looked at was, how do we have the ability to help with those that may not have access? And we went out. My RX Access actually came in. We talked to them. I would love the team to kind of pull up the page there on Mission Roll Call. It's a great organization that provides, really our main focus was for those that don't have healthcare. But Jim, I'd love to kick it over to you for your thoughts on this. Oh, you got the dog? Okay, don't worry about it.
I can't. Okay. Yeah, but I did put.
I know he's needy. You know what I mean? Like you got to feed him. You got to give him water. I mean, this dog is out of control.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, we see that people need to be able to get access to health care, especially mental health. And maybe the VA is not something that is the right course of action, or you can't do it for whatever reason. And so there
Or
has
it's the
to be
20%, Jim, that are in underserved areas or in rural locations that can't get to,
right.
all right, you just
Yeah.
talked about. Yeah.
And so there's a whole bunch of people, right, that don't fit into I can drive,
Yeah, that's
fit into
true.
the VA system, and I can go there and I go see my doctor and I have the same doctor and all those things work out. If that's happening, great for you. But there's, to your point, probably 25, 30% of the total veteran population, maybe more, that don't have that access. And so what this is, which we think, based on our conversations with them and what we see, is ability to really get this access to mental health via telephone, through your computer, in a way that is very economical and very professional. We're not endorsing it. I mean, they're not paying us at all to do this. They're not a sponsor of us. So we're not trying to, but what we see is this fits a void, an important void to be filled, that can support veterans and their families in a positive way.
Yeah, and they started doing it with law enforcement and firefighters.
Yeah,
Like,
they
that's
have a
where it
track
started.
record of
So, yeah.
doing this, and I will say this: our conversation with them is, when we talk about veterans, they're leaning forward in their seats, they're paying attention, and they were astonished when we gave them the stats of veterans that are falling through the cracks, what the need is, and they want to help, and they're going ahead and doing it, and so good for them, and wanting to support this.
I can tell I'm getting old because as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you, Jeff, I mean, I go off cuff sometimes, but as I'm sitting here listening, I just realized Rotor interrupted me while I was talking.
I know.
Appreciate. Can you?
He does it all the time. Yeah, I know, it's annoying.
You're like, man, I know he does it to me every day.
I will say this though, if I can.
Yeah, please.
I was on a conversation yesterday with CNN, and it was a radio. It was an interview that they were going to put on there. He's already upset about the CNN person. He comes in and jumps on my lap, and I'm petting him, and I'm talking to the CNN person, and she was going down, asking some really tough questions. And then after he appeared, softball questions.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And we connected over Rotor. So he's not on the payroll, but he did his job.
So if I understand this correctly, which I do things wrong often, the best way is when I get on a meeting with you is just to bring my teacup poodle, and just start petting them as we're okay. Yeah. I've got it now.
It's a great equalizer. Dogs are a great equalizer.
Okay, great. All right, so let's move on to the other thing. We're going to move on to, exactly. Dogs make any stream better. 100% agree. Here he comes. So you got to start it. Okay, so we're going to talk. We talked last time the 2026 priorities that you guys voted on. That's how we do it in the organization. Usually around September of each year, we're going to put the survey out. We're going to include these in there. We give you guys the opportunity. Nate, if you guys can pull up that, you're going to see here, we put the article out this week. So this is what you voted for as an organization. So the main focus areas, as you can see here from top to bottom. So what we'll be focusing on in 2026, our priorities as an organization will continue to be access to quality healthcare. That's both VA and non-VA. We're going to focus on support for service-connected injuries and conditions. That's things like TBI, PTS, chronic pain, toxic exposure. I saw a question in here about that earlier. So that kind of falls inside of that. Veteran suicide prevention. And then finally, we continue to move forward with housing access and homelessness prevention. So Jim, I'd love to kick it over to you to kind of explain when we talk about focusing on these priority areas, what does that mean, right? With the surveys and the research, can you kind of talk through that?
Yeah. Before I do that, though, a selfish plug. We're the only organization, VSO, that does it this way. We don't have a think tank within the organization that says, hey, these are the 3 priorities, 4 priorities, 5 priorities that we think veterans want us to talk about, nor do we outsource that to some consultant to figure out for us. What we do is rely on the troops and the people that make up our great environment, that is the veteran community. And we ask you and your families, what are the important topics for you? What do you think we should focus on? And then that comes back in an unfiltered way, and then that becomes our priorities. And I brief it to our board, and there we go. And then, to answer your question very specifically, we then focus on those priorities, not only from a polling position, but also researching it, finding out what is going on in each one of those categories, reaching out to the members that are on our veteran resource directory, finding out what their perspectives are, reaching out to other veteran support organizations that may be able to fit a void in those priorities and getting them involved in it. But then more importantly, or equally important to all of that, is sharing that information with decision makers at the VA and in the Senate and in Congress, and saying to them, this is what veterans are telling us across the country.
Uh-oh, I think he accidentally hit the mute button. Yeah, check and see if your mute hit.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There
I
you
was
go.
so
That's
excited
okay.
about this.
It was Rotor. Can we blame him? It wasn't his fault, but we'll blame him.
What we do is we share that with members of Congress and Senate, and we say, these are the priorities that your constituents are telling us is the most important. And these are we share these information with them, and you can see the stats. And I will tell you that they listen to that. One, because they're the folks that are voting for them or not voting for them. And they also understand that they're in Congress and Senate, or if they don't, they should, to serve those people that are in their areas that they represent. And so that's why this is so important. We focus our energies in those top priorities. That does not mean that we're not involved with the other ones that were subdued there, such as homelessness or food insecurity. We're still working those. So we have a wide parameter of things we're working, but our priorities, the bread and the meat and potatoes of what we do is focused on those.
Well, and what I would say, Jim, to like add to that is that we're working these other areas with other organizations and empowering them. Like you talked about at the beginning, right? We're changed the paradigm. We, Mission Roll Call, as a VSO, are here to also support other VSOs because their success becomes our success, right? And at the end of the day, we don't want Mission Roll Call here 15, 20 years from now. The problems we're focusing on, we want those problems to get them to, the right levels to where they should be. And then we can go back to, being a guy that's out making woodworking, right? So I think that that's kind of the overall plan. And the VRD is a good example of those that are there and the ones that we use. And everything kind of goes across. And I think the other unique thing that you hit on a little bit, Jim, was this idea that so oftentimes it's like the surveys. So even within our team, because you look at it, you go, oh man, we got the surveys and we're just connecting them to, Mike's out there just talking at the congressional level. But the reality is the end state of those surveys is not just for us, right? It's for that nonprofit, that VSO at the county city level.
Great point.
They can use that data to then help them shape what they need to shape and to advocate at their local level, right? Which we all had a different plan when we came into this, but I think, Mike's been such an important part of us understanding like this is big. Ray, we can do this, but we're going to need like an entire brigade, of people to do. This is not okay. So how do we now energize other organizations to through support of them? And I think that's one of the ways we're also doing it.
Yeah, it's a great point.
All right, everybody. All right, so we're at like probably our favorite part. We love talking about what we did. Through you and you giving us the opportunity to do it. What we're going to do now is we're going to start answering questions. We got about 10 minutes or so to answer questions. Whatever platform you on, you have a question, post it in. Staff will probably reply, and we're probably going to reply also, right? We're just like that. We like to talk a lot if you can't tell. So we will do that. First one we're going to talk about is Mary White Willington. So Mary says, hello from Washington State. Hello out there. Is it getting cold, hot, warm? I don't know what the temperature is there. Are we as supporters able to suggest poll topics? If so, how? And Jim, we told her, yes, we
Absolutely.
want that. Again, we just talk about that thing we were just talking about. So it was like I read the question before I answered a minute ago, but sometimes we need it from you at the local level because you're seeing things there that we don't see because we're more at a national level. So it is really, really good for you, all of you, everybody that's here, to go to the contact form, submit it, no matter what it is, submit it, let us know, and do it. Now, understand, not everything we're involved with, again, right? We're going to do the best we can. We're going to reply to you in most cases. But just know that, yes, you can suggest things. Jim, I don't know if you wanted to add anything on that.
No, we welcome that. Writing polls is more difficult than it looks, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we want to make sure we hit those top questions. And let's face it, geographically, they could be different.
Yeah.
I mean, what's troubling in the one area of the country may not be an issue in the other part of the country.
That's right.
So we welcome that feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see who else we have here. We already read Mike's earlier. Let's see. We got Tori Seals. Do you have any data on how many veterans that are enrolled in the VA healthcare are experiencing symptoms of TE-related illness, and if they are being seen within the VA system or civilian world? Mike may have some of this just through his interaction with some of our amazing partners, and the same thing with Jim. But what I will tell you, Tori, is we're going to be moving into that. That's part of, we just talked a second ago about the priorities. One of those priorities is the support for service-connected injuries and conditions. This is something we're actually going to be doing research on as we move into 2026. It's our very first thing that we're going to be doing because access to care, veteran suicide, and housing we've completed. So by March timeframe, we should have that. But Jim, I'll kick it over to you for any comments on that with, I don't know, Boulder Crest, Avalon, or any of the others. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And we do have great partners, and Avalon comes to mind, and Boulder Crest, as you just mentioned, Ray, are premier organizations that certainly know volumes more than we do, but we plug into them. And in fact, we have a professional relationship with them to help them advocate in the VA and within the halls of Congress and Senate about what they're doing to help folks with traumatic brain injury and a number of other issues, and doing it at cutting edge. So this is important to us, and we'll be focused on this.
Great. Okay. We're going to do one more selfless plug because we like to do this. We have the honor wall up. I would be horrible if I didn't mention this. This is an opportunity for you to honor somebody that you know that's a veteran. I don't know if the team can pull that on. They weren't prepped for this, by the way. But most of the stuff that we do are not prepped for.
I love it. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah. I tapped the floor to tell them it was coming, but I didn't give them the link, right? But the honor wall's up. We want you guys to go and submit veterans that you have. Our team has spent this is created from the ground up. We have some amazing folks that are here that wanted to put this. So we would love you guys to allow us to honor the veterans that you know through Mission Roll Call. That would be very wonderful. You can also like them. Maybe a little something special for somebody at the end of this thing, whoever has the most likes. So as you go through them, you see a little heart up there in the top right of the Stephen Ferguson. You can click that little puppy right there, and maybe somebody gets something nice. We're not going to tell you what that is, but anyway, Tori did say, Jim, that she appreciated Mr. Whaley's testimony pertaining to protecting Second Amendment rights back in February. What I will say, Tori, is that this is a team effort, but I'll push it over to you, Jim, on that.
Yeah, we listened to you, and this was an issue that has been forefront for many veterans. And just so everybody understands what the Veterans Second Amendment Act was all about, and that is, for many years, veterans who went in to get any sort of mental health care, even just an evaluation, would be automatically put into a database that was sent to the FBI and authorities, and took them off the ability to own a weapon. So that was, of course, very draconian and not in standings of what our Bill of Rights are or what our Constitution says. And that is that if we are going to take your ability to have a weapon away, then it involves a legal justification and a judge. And so that's all we were advocating for, is that, veterans of all people who've raised their right hand to defend our country should have the same rights as the people they're defending. And so that was important for us to testify in front of that. And we know there's both sides to every issue, but by far and wide, veterans feel that their rights were being stepped upon on that, and they weren't being represented enough. And so that bill is still moving through Congress. Of course, not right now because it's shut down, but it will at some point get passed, because we'll make sure through our advocacy and working with all of you that it will. But it takes a little time to do that. Yeah, it was an honor to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tori's last one: after losing my husband to TE cancer, if you need assistance with the service connected priorities, let me know. I will do what I can. Tori, we absolutely would love your help. I will ask the team, please post a link on YouTube that Tori, please reach out, use the contact us form. We'll immediately probably reply back to you today, tomorrow, and then start having the conversations. We appreciate you wanting to get involved. As we kind of started this conversation, Mission Roll Call does not have the power to do anything without voices like yours to help us. So thank you. We condolences for losing your husband, but we thank you for trying to help others. So
absolutely.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you guys as always coming out, hanging out with us. We'll be back here. I want to say on November 19th. I was afraid I was going to say the last one there. We'll be back though on November 19th to see you guys again. Same bat time, same bat channel. So 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, on whatever platform you choose. Invite your friends, ask folks that are veterans and family members to come. Right. The whole point of these is to get feedback, understand, and then continue to share the message. Right. Like that's our intent. And what we're asking for you guys is a little bit of your time. Not a lot, a little bit. Most importantly from you, what we need right now is each month, right? You come in and you take those surveys, and they're always you go to the same link every month. It's not a new link. It's the same link. You can go there the first week of every month and you can take that survey. And it doesn't matter, again, if you're a veteran, veteran family, or a American public that just wants to support, we need you to come there. So Jim, let me kick it over to you for any closing comments, and then I'll close it out.
Yeah, first of all, these are fun to do, and it's great to get feedback from people, and it's a real honor to be part of this organization, working with a great team. My only comment would be, as we close out, is we all understand the government is shut down, and so that's affecting some people more than it affects other people. But we do know that even before the shutdown, 1 in every 4 veteran and active duty military person has food insecurity issues. That means they're not real sure on how they're going to make ends meet and provide for their family or for themselves. So we're a great community. We take care of one another. In fact, we worry about those to the left and right of us more than we worry about ourselves. And that's what makes us who we are. So all I would ask is, in this process of who knows how long this shutdown continues, that we reach out to food banks or veteran support organizations in your area and see if you can be helpful. If that means bringing in some canned goods or whatever, please consider that, because at the end of the day, it's how we take care of others that we're measured by. Absolutely.
I see J-Dub. I'm gonna throw a flag in here. We're gonna do a little alibi. J-Dub asks if more veterans enroll in the VA system, how will that change the wait times and improve canceled appointments? Do you see any impact? As we talked about, hey, there's 9 mil, if we push it out to 18 mil, what kind of issues do you see from your side, Jim, if any?
Well, there may be some growth pains, right? But I don't think it's going to be a linear growth pattern where it's so fast and so furious. I think the fact is that the more the VA has an impact on the general American public through their services and all the veterans and the families that they have, the better off we are, because that's more voices about the quality of care. So I actually think that they should continue to grow and help as many veterans as possible. And here's the other thing I would say. You earned it. Yeah. You earned it, right? I mean, veterans serve their country, and that's what the VA is there for. And if you're eligible for that, then you should most certainly be taking part in that. Absolutely. All right, everybody, if you're a veteran, you're in the chat, I want to thank you so much for your service. Thank you for going above and beyond for your country. We appreciate you. And as always, if you're a spouse, thank you for allowing us to borrow your loved one. We can't thank you enough for that. We will see you guys back on November 19th. We appreciate you as always, and have a wonderful rest of your day.